You might think that cell phones bring us closer together, but new research shows technology can leave us feeling, well, disconnected. That can affect our emotional and physical health. Barbara Fredrickson is a professor of psychology at the University of North Carolina, go Heels, in Chapel Hill. Couldn't help it. Nick Belton is a technology columnist for the New York Times, and Sherry Turkle researches technology and relationships. She's a psychology professor at MIT. Good morning to you, one and all. Sherry, let's start with you, because it's ironic. You look at that video, they were ginormous back then, but it was so exciting because you could feel connected. So it's ironic all these years later that we feel empty and disconnected. Why so?
Well, the people in that film were using the phones actually to talk to each other.
True.
And now we don't really use our phones to talk to each other. We mostly use our phones to text to each other. And what texting does is give us an opportunity to multitask. We're texting while we're breastfeeding our children. We're texting while we're having breakfast with our families. We're texting while we're having dinner dates. We're texting on the playground and not watching our kids. So it's the multitasking nature of what we're doing with our phones. It gives us the feeling that we don't need to pay full attention to each other. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that texting gives us the feeling that we can hide from each other. We can construct our text to be who we want to be. We can create a self on the text in which we can sort of hide in plain sight. We can edit. We can
And so
not
what's
reveal.
the impact of all that?
Well, the impact of that is that in hiding from each other, in constructing who we want to be instead of kind of showing who we are, we don't reveal, we don't become authentic in the way we would in a full and rich conversation. One 16-year-old says to me, I hope I learn someday how to have a conversation, but I don't want to, because it takes place in real time and you can't control what you're going to say.
Yeah, Nick, do you plead guilty? You talk about you Twitter with your
Sorry,
mom.
what?
Yeah. You don't respond to your dad's voicemails. Your sister takes the kids out and hands them iPads.
I think that one of the things is that these technologies connect us to the people that are far away from us, but they disconnect us from the people that are directly in front of us. I joke around looking at my phone, but that's essentially what we do all the time. And my column this week was talking about how I was at dinner with my sister, and she has two little kids, and they were, I think they were ready to kill each other over a fork or something. And we gave them the iPads, and it was it was a pacifier.
Yeah.
And we asked the question afterwards, is it good or is it bad?
And the answer?
Well, neurologically, no one knows because these things are too new. But as I spoke to Sherry for the piece, the great point that she made is that what we as kids we learn how to be alone when we don't have these devices. We learn how to be with our imagination. And if we don't learn how to be alone, then what was the way you said it?
I said that if you don't teach your children how to be alone, they'll only know how to be lonely.
Yeah. Barbara, you've done some research on this, so.
Right. The real issue is sort of like the opportunity cost. As we connect with people face to face, we are building skills for doing that and actually changing our biological capacity to connect. So the more time that we spend disconnecting, we kind of erode that biological capacity to connect to the point where, people are unskilled or even afraid to connect. So, just like we need to be physically active to keep up our health, we need to be socially active, connected face to face to keep up our capacity.
But do any of you think something's going to change?
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the 40-year anniversary of the cell phone today. I mean, if you look back, it was before I was born, but I've seen videos of it. But but people in restaurants used to pull out those big phones, and it was like, oh my God, that guy has a cell phone. How cool! And now if you pulled out a cell phone in a restaurant, people would tackle you. And I think that
my point is whether the negative implications of all this are going to change the way people use iPads and use cell phones and use smartphones.
I think that we learn a little bit, yeah.
I think it's already changing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that with these technologies, you get the illusion of companionship without the demands of friendship.
Well,
I think that people are starting to see that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just gradually now we're starting
They
to see
need the intimacy of the
downsides.
human touch.
You need the intimacy of a human touch.
Barbara, I like what you say best of all is that friends don't let friends lose their capacity for humanity.
Right. It's
So
like,
at least call attention to it.
right.
Please call attention to
Our
it.
abilities to be compassionate, have empathy, really hinge on our being able to, connect with people face to face and it builds our health.
Yeah, all of that matters. I think it's good that we're at least giving people something to think about. I like
Right.
that. Thank you, guys. Thank you very
you.
much.